questions, about how the chat works, please come off mute and ask me. There's two ways in the chat. In the top of your chat, you will see something that says everyone, and then there's a plus sign, and you can actually direct message me or one single person if you want to. The other thing is that on Zoom, there is a feature where in the middle, so there's the screen and then the people, and there's a slider in the middle, and you can slide that to the left or the right. So if you want to see more people or if you want to see more of the presentation, there is a way to do that. So all those things are possible. All right. Our group agreements for this evening. Number one, messy is okay, because we're here to learn. We're here to have a good time. Yeah. Try something new, maybe meet someone new, and take care of yourself. What do I mean by that? Drink, eat, bathrooms are right there. Yeah. Also, we're really, like I said, to do hybrid well, it actually means that the people in the room have to do a lot of extra work too. So if how I do things for training when it's 100% on Zoom or 100% in person is a little bit different, so you'll just have to work with me because we're trying to navigate. We've got about 8 or 9 people joining us through the computer. Any questions or comments about today's order of business? Okay, here's the expected outcomes of the training. We want to explore leadership approaches to increasing equity, diversity, inclusion. Maybe we can have some new stretch goals for leadership. Yeah, we'll try some new things to try out. We want to foster inclusion and belonging. So by 7 p.m. tonight, we'll understand why is DEI important and how do we create advocacy spaces that are inclusive, equitable, and effective. Any questions about that? Another thing to know about me, I'm trying to figure out where to turn my head. Maybe I'll turn it this way so that the people on Zoom can see me better. Another thing to know about me, so my mother's from Colombia, my father's from Japan, and I grew up in New York. And neither of my parents spoke very much English, and they also did not speak each other's language, and they didn't know much about each other's culture. So when I was little, I'd have to walk into a space and figure out very quickly what's happening, what language are people speaking, what's going on. And I think that's why I enjoy meeting facilitation so much, because how I really approach it and think about it is understanding who's with me and how to adjust things accordingly. And so, yeah, and I live in Norwich. I have 2 older teenagers. And I also, I want to give a shout out to Judy, who's here today, because Judy, you were so important for my PhD training experience. And I don't know that I would have made it to the end without you. So thank you. I'm sure. So it's really great to see you. Yeah. And then Kim, colleagues from a while, it's been a while, right? Pre-COVID. Yeah. Yeah. And Kaylee, we met at training. So it's really nice to see new faces and old friends and colleagues. Okay. All right. Now, let's think back to a time when you felt included and welcome. What helped you to feel that way? So take a moment to think for yourself about a time. It could have been work, it could have been personal. When did you feel included and welcome? What did that look like? Did that smell like? What did that feel like? If you're on Zoom, please enter your thoughts in the chat. If you're in person, take a moment to think about it, and then I will call on you. And I'm going to write some notes here on what people are saying. All right, I'm not seeing anything in the chat yet, so we'll start with in person. And we will, I'll just go around, and if you have nothing to add, that's totally fine. You can just say pass. Yeah, okay.
I joined a choral group and I didn't really know anybody. And people went out of their way to say, sit over here. This is when we do things. We always do this. We always do that. And just really tried to help me. I just felt very nice. They were very, and right after that, I sprained my ankle and they were all bringing me things.
Thank you.
Skip me.
Okay.
Skip.
Judy?
So, I guess when I was going away freshman year in college, I had one particular friend who made me feel welcome and has been a lifelong friend. She listened, she held space for me to talk. She's just been a lifelong friend, and I felt very included in her presence.
And does she do, like, what helps you know that it's her? What is it that she does that's different from what other people do?
She listens.
Okay. I think this idea of listening is really important, and we can think about.
She saw me. She listened. She saw me.
Okay, so you felt heard. I felt heard. I felt seen. Thank you.
I'm thinking of when my first husband's grandmother, who, when we started dating, was very welcoming to the family. And one of the things I remember is going to her house and things would be busy and being like brought in and given things to do. So, I could, could you stir that, and could you take care of that? And so there's work to be done, and I was part of the team.
Right. I have heard that. I did a project with people, older adults who didn't have English as their first language. And that was something that this person, she didn't speak very much English, and she said, I felt important because they told me to hand out the popcorn. And I felt I felt useful, right? That was like, that reminds me of that project. Yeah. Okay.
I guess in any general scenario, when you meet someone new, aside from them listening, maybe like asking, if they ask you questions about yourself, that tends to make me feel included, and, just knowing someone is, caring enough to think and ask you about yourself.
Got it. Thanks. Ellie?
Hold on. When I moved into a new dorm, some girls from my new dorm that I was moving into wrote me a letter we're so excited to have you, if you ever need anything, let us know.
We are so excited to have you. Awesome. Hi, are you here for us? Maybe.
The Women's Leadership Series.
No, I'm here for a poetry.
Oh, okay.
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
I'm just going to say I felt welcomed to this space today because of the music, and people were dancing and smiling. And I just, that sort of feeling of warmth.
Always had to do something.
And that is absolutely by design. So when I create spaces, I try as much as whenever possible to have music and also to have an opening question. Sometimes I'll do a password, actually. My typical one is, what's something that makes you laugh, right? So what happens if you've been asked, you walk into a space and you've been asked, what makes you laugh? What's going to happen? It's going to shift, right? It's going to be a different kind of experience. So I asked you, what movie, book, or music do you recommend these days? And we heard Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil, Olivia Dean, How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, Crazy Rich Asians, Hamnet, music, Malcolm Todd, movie TV, Ken Burns' American Revolution, Parable of the Sower, which is a book, Becoming, another book, Some of Us, and then we did have some in the chat as well. And they included Clementine Crane prefers not to. An amazing book on perimenopause and is beyond relatable. Another one, music, Cardi B, Mumford and Sons, and King Coyote. Book, Grandma Greatwood's Walk about the Appalachian Trail. 1984, On Tyranny. Book, Glennon Doyle's Untamed. And that's it for books. What do you notice about the list? Anything?
It's kind of like revolutionary, like kind of like forward thinking and
Revolutionary, forward thinking. Anything else?
Diverse.
Diverse. Yeah, and we're here to talk about diversity, equity, inclusion, and we've got a pretty diverse range of interests, skills, right? We're all different. All of us are very different. One thing that drives me crazy is when people make assumptions about me, right? If they make assumptions like, oh, you live in Norwich or you went to Dartmouth or whatever the assumptions people will make, right? Let's see what people said in the Zoom. Feeling heard, valued, mentored. Greeting, being a greeter, made me and others feel very welcome to stop by and chat and join them. I made a suggestion, someone replied, good idea, we've never tried that. It didn't matter whether we did it or not, I was heard and respected. So let's think about that idea of listening. How do you know that you're being listened to? Which, by the way, like listening is very difficult for humans to do. So we're all bad at it, right? But what are some things that indicate to you that you're being listened to? So put in the chat, listened to. How do you know? Any thoughts? I'm not going to call on you this time. Just shout it out.
The other person follows up on what you said.
Ooh, the other person follows up
And you get started.
what you said. I just finished reading a book called You're Not Listening. And one of the things she talks about is the biggest compliment you can give someone is to see them and say, I thought about what you said. Right? Like that's long time no see, and I thought about what you said. Judy, some years ago, you told me about not letting certain people trample on the ideas. If I have a very early idea, that it's easy because it's just a fledgling concept, and to be thoughtful about who's not going to smash all over it. And I still remember where we were sitting outside and when you told me that, and that has stayed with me for a long time. So yeah, the things that you notice that other people have said to you, let them know. Let them know. Any other thoughts? How do you know you're being listened to? Let's see. People respond with their understanding of what I said. Eye contact. Apparently the barn gallery on Agunquit is amazing because it's warm and welcoming, responsive and able to digest what you said, expounding upon what I have said or mirrored. Good eye contact. Anything else we want to add?
I also feel like subconsciously like body language, like where you're facing and like being present.
Yeah. Body language. Being present.
I'm a big nodder myself.
Awesome.
Sometimes just even responding with the words that the person used, or asking questions that, allows that person to talk a little bit further, a little, probing questions.
Yeah. Awesome.
I'll just use a different example. Like if you say something like, can you take out the trash, please? And then they just do it. Like they don't necessarily respond, but they take action.
Oh, body language again. They do it. how did you, hi,
Is this a poetry?
no,
Is it poetry upstairs?
probably.
Okay.
Yeah.
Check the other rooms.
Yeah, okay.
A lot going on here.
Yeah, so music, right? That's one thing that I do. I ask a question. We're here to talk about diversity, equity, inclusion, which can be a tough topic. And where am I starting us? Where am I starting us? I'm starting with some fun, playful things because we may or may not know each other. So I'm not going to jump in with like, okay, here's the hard stuff. I don't start with the hard stuff. Let's figure out who's in this space and understand each other. And then we can move into the hard stuff. Yeah. Speaking of which, okay. Oh, these are a lot of notes here that I wrote. There's a book. Has anyone heard of the book City of Ember? It's a middle school book. I really like this book. It's for 7th, 8th grade. I think that's 6th grade, depending on your reading level. City of Ember. The book number 2 is People of Sparks, which I like even better. So in the City of Ember, it's apocalyptic world's coming to an end. And so people who had very forward-thinking ideas created a city underground, a self-sufficient city underground. And they figured out that if it could last a couple generations, then ultimately they'd come back after the nuclear devastation has passed and the humans could exist. So now the people in the City of Ember, they don't know what's been happening up on Earth, right? On the surface.
It's sounding a little like Stranger Things.
It is in some ways, yeah. Yeah, because there's a underground and above the ground. So in book number 2, so the City of Ember was never designed to be permanent. And an amount of time has passed and now they're running out of food, they're running out of energy, they're running out of everything. So they come up to the Earth's surface. Now, what would that be like if you grew up only underground? What would that be like? You don't know what wind is. You don't know what the sky is. You don't know light and dark because you only know artificial light. And your body might be a little bit smaller, right? Because your nutrition and you haven't had sunlight. So in this scene that I'm going to read to you, so they've been living underground, they made it up, and they've entered this town called the town of Sparks. Now the people in Sparks have been living above ground this whole time. They have no idea what's the City of Ember. We've never heard of this. Who are these people? We don't believe you. And they're like, what is happening right now? So they're looking at the Emberites and like, who are these refugees? Right? They're very negative. Now, remember, if you've lived underground, so this girl, Lena, is in this space. And then this person says, we'll see if we have any eggs this morning. That would be a start. And the little kid says, eggs, I want one. And Lena, who's an Emberite, says, eggs? She didn't know what that meant. She followed the doctor, and there was this place, like an open air version of the Ember greenhouses, only the plants were bigger and wilder and shooting upward. She recognized some of them, but they were different. And she saw some fat, pluffed up, two-legged creatures of the kind she had seen on her way into town yesterday. They were waddling along, poking at the ground with a sharp thing like a tooth that stuck out from their faces. What are those? She said. Chickens, said the doctor. We'll check their nests and see if they've left us anything. And the doctor says there's only one egg. And the boy is like, I want it. And the doctor says, oh, you've had plenty of eggs. This one is for our guest. So Lena takes the egg and it's smooth and warm. And she's like, what is this? This is a stone. This isn't food. What's going on? Was it some sort of large bean or a fruit with a hard white peel? And she's like, thank you. And the boy says, she doesn't even want it. She doesn't even know what it is. And then the two kids are fighting now, right? The kid from Ember and the kid from Sparks are fighting and they're pushing each other. And so she stumbles and she was so angry, she raises her arm and throws the egg at the boy. Instead of bouncing off, it broke open and a slimy yellow mess dripped down his shirt. And the boy's like, look at what you've done, it's ruined. Lena was horrified, disgusted too. That yellow goop was something that people ate? She was glad she didn't have to, but she felt stupid for what she had done. I'm sorry I wrecked the egg, she said. I didn't know what it was. What does this that I just read to you have anything to do with diversity, equity, inclusion, if at all? Any thoughts? There's no right or wrong answers.
Well, just misunderstanding of two different experiences and one not understanding something in the other culture.
Yeah. What would be something that we pretty much take for granted that actually might be a little weird or tricky or complicated? I don't have an idea. I'm just asking the question. There isn't a right or wrong answer here.
Well, if you live in Maine
Yes.
and you think that you're going to treat people with lobster, you know, some people who aren't from Maine or even from the United States are freaked out by it.
Lobster, sure.
Yeah.
What kind of strange red creature with claws?
Throwing them in and you're boiling them and boiling
Right.
them alive and
Yeah. Yeah. So I grew up in New York in suburbia, and where I grew up, if you go for a walk or a run, if you make eye contact and say hi to people, they think you might be about to mug them. But around here in the Upper Valley, if I go for a walk and don't make eye contact, then we have a problem, right? So literally the opposite behavior engenders the opposite reaction, right? So we have to know, where are we and what do people need and what is this like? And it is often difficult, right? That we fall into our patterns, we make assumptions, we assume everybody knows what an egg is. Like, what? You know? So something to keep in mind. Any thoughts or observations about that?
Yeah, because raw eggs are yucky. Right? Like,
they
that's
are.
not what you eat, right? It's not how, yes, it's about how it's prepared, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I had a very good friend, a man who was a World War II veteran, and he wound up, not willfully, he wound up in the United States, and he spoke very good German, and he had learned some English. It was a terrible time he had. He couldn't do anything in school without one of the kids saying, "We don't do that in America." So all day long, he was, "Oh, we don't do this, we don't do that." So he was constantly not knowing what to do because everything he had done before was not done here. So it was a really wretched couple of years he had.
Sounds like, yeah. And so what could we do to help that person feel welcome? We just talked about it, right? What's that?
Feed them.
Feed them. Feed them eggs, not raw.
No, I'm not a raw.
Yeah, what else could we do? How would we help that person from Germany feel welcome?
Explain explain things and ask how they do it and how they do it in Germany.
Ask questions. That's great. Yeah.
And ask them to sit with you at the lunch table. Come on, sit with us.
Come sit with us. Yeah. Yeah. My hands are all sticky from my cough drops. Okay. Anyone in the Zoom have anything you want to add? What we're talking about? Go ahead and use the raise hand feature or put in the chat. Sarah wrote, inclusion and remembering we are a salad bowl, not a melting pot.
Somebody put something up and it disappeared.
Oh, that was Sarah, yeah, that's what she just read.
I'm reading it. Yeah, thank you. Anybody else on the Zoom, if you want to add something, go ahead and put it in the chat or use a raise hand feature. Okay. All right. So, what are examples of diversity, equity, and inclusion? I'm realizing because I have I got so many screens going on here, so let me just do this a little bit. What are examples of diversity, equity, and inclusion? This is a situation where sometimes I might go into breakout. I'm not going to do that right now. We're a small enough group that we can do this. So, any thoughts? Diversity, equity, inclusion, what would be an example?
I can think of a diversity one.
Okay.
I joined the Dartmouth Gospel Choir,
Mm-hmm.
and I was so happy to be in a room where everybody wasn't white. There was there were different colored people, and there were not just, dark colors, but there were Asian people and young people and old people and 80-year-old woman and 18-year-old young guys. So it was great, the diversity of age and the way, it felt so good. It just felt right.
Yeah. Awesome. Any other thoughts? Examples? Well, we've been talking about some of them. Let's see. Sue wrote, I can relate to making eye contact or not. Friends have said I look through them or ignore them because I haven't made eye contact. In a city, I made a point of not making eye contact. Exactly. Yeah.
I can think of for equity, the example I'm thinking of is one we looked at during our training together, the image of, looking at a baseball game going on. And the example of equality is everyone has the bench underneath them so they can stand and see. But, some people could be in a wheelchair or they don't need the bench as much. So equity is like giving people tools based on their different levels of need. So maybe someone gets one box to stand on, and maybe someone else gets 2 boxes, and the person who can already see over the fence doesn't need a box. So
amazing.
The extension of that is, of course, is you just take the fence down.
yes,
Which is the,
Is what?
you take the fence down.
fence right down.
Yeah, and some people talk about the removing the fence as justice.
Oh.
Yeah, so there's many versions of that. And here's some other versions of equity when we're talking about equity. So Robert Wood Johnson Foundation this was their original equity graphic. And so what do you notice? So the left is equality and the right is equity. What do you notice? What's the difference between equality and equity?
Well, equality is treating everybody the same. And equity is, as Kaylee says, treating people according to their needs, which are different. Right?
Yeah, exactly. Right. We don't all need, like in the example of the baseball game, we're different heights. And some of us don't need help to see over the fence. And some of us need 1 box or 2 boxes or 3 boxes. Now, if you take the fence away, right, then everyone can see no matter how tall you are. So, oh, actually, I told you incorrectly. This was the original. The other one is the new one. So the original is the equality, equity, right? So the left is equality, the right is equity. So what's happening? What's the difference between equality and equity using bicycles as an example?
The first one, two of the 3 people can't use what they've got.
Can't use what you've got. If everyone gets the same exact bicycle, same exact size, right? It's not going to serve everyone. Whereas equity, you get what you need. I think I used to be very scared of the concept of equity. I was so afraid of it until I realized, like, this is all it is. This is all it is. And I think what's hard is that to practice equity, you really have to think about give and take and what people need. It's not easy. It's possible, and it's not easy. And I think it can get scary because people would rather say, I'm going to give each of you $5 rather than say, well, do you even need $5? Would you rather have $10? Is 20 going to work for you? Sarah says, not everyone starts from the same place. Therefore, not everyone needs the same support. Equity gives what you need while equality gives the same to all. Exactly. Any other thoughts or comments about this idea of equity versus equality? I actually find the medical system gets this confused all the time. I've heard doctors, MDs say, well, we treat everyone the same, so I don't care. I don't want to know about their insurance because I'm going to recommend the same exact. Well, how is that going to help if the person doesn't have insurance, can't afford the medication? That they're approaching from equality, not equity. And I do find that there are people who we interface with that get this idea very confused. There was a time when I experienced equity where I went to this retreat, a training retreat, and they had a budget for travel, for babysitting, the whole nine. And when you fill out the form, they said, what do you need in order to enable you to be here for the weekend? And so I wrote, it would be helpful to have transportation reimbursement. So then I get there and the person sits with me and says, based on where you live, it's probably about $100. And I need to give more money to some of the other people who needed childcare. Is $100 okay? I was like, yes, right? Like, amazing, thank you. Everyone wins. The other person got a lot more, and I'm happy for her that she got what she needed. And I just wanted mileage. And so it felt very helpful. And so that's an example of how equity can work in action. Not everyone needs the same thing. We are all different. Some of us like to watch Love Island and some of us can't stand it, right? Right? We all have different opinions about movies, music, food. We didn't all order the same food, right? Some of us are in person, some of us are on Zoom. So providing a Zoom option, that's an equity example of people getting what they need. Okay. What's the opposite? What's the opposite of diversity, equity, inclusion? Let's imagine that we are in a workspace or community space that doesn't have diversity, it doesn't have equity, it doesn't have inclusion. What does that look like?
Sarah, you guys.
Sarah's got it.
Yeah. Who say, you're a woman, could you get the coffee? And when you come up with an idea, everybody kind of goes, oh, yeah. And then he comes up with the idea, oh, what a great idea. And they don't remember that you said it.
Mm-hmm. Not acknowledging.
Not that I'm remembering all these things from.
Yeah, so what does it look like when we don't have diversity, equity, and inclusion? What else?
I think like segregation based on like socioeconomic status and race.
And gender.
And what?
Gender.
Gender. Liz says, assumption that everyone else has the goods, means, and ability that I do, which is exactly how state legislators look at bills. They can't imagine that everyone is not coming from the same space, so they pass laws that might make life really hard from some others.
Yeah.
Thanks, Liz.
I'm troubled by the words that have been given so much attention in the news.
Yeah.
And it sort of gets away from, I mean, these are great concerns, but because it's being ridiculed and it's being thrown about as if it weren't important or understood, I hesitate to use those words. That it's uncomfortable because there's so many people who don't understand.
Yeah.
And I think it was overplayed politically.
Yeah.
One way or another. And so I'm not sure it led to more diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Yeah.
A lot of bad.
Yeah.
A lot of bad atmosphere there.
And Sarah made a comment too about the person in office. Okay, Sarah wrote as well, when we don't have diversity, equity, and inclusion, life is significantly more boring. Different people, viewpoints, ideas, desires are what makes life colorful, fulfilling, and beautiful. We need DEI in order to have progress as a person, community, and nation. Thanks.
Much better chorus.
What's that?
Much better chorus.
Much better chorus, is that what you said?
Yes, with the diversity of.
Voices.
Yeah,
Instead of all sopranos.
Yeah.
Imagine a chorus with all sopranos.
Super loud chorus, that would be.
Now, there are times like I'm thinking about those dance lines where people try to be the same. At the same time, would it be more fun and interesting if they weren't all wearing the same thing? I don't know, right? Okay, some of you have also been exploring this idea of leadership. What is this that I'm showing on the screen right now? What is that? It's a wave. It's just a wave with an arrow, right? All the energy is moving in one direction. And now what's happening here?
A little wave coming at you.
Yeah, there's a tiny small, sorry?
Undertow?
Undertow. So my question for you, thinking about leadership and thinking about this idea that Barbara was mentioning about diversity, equity, inclusion, and how because it's been mangled in the
So much.
right, it's been mangled. So if we talk about it, even us being in this space feels kind of rebellious, right? It feels a little edgy. So think for yourself, when was a time when you felt like you were going against the flow of the energy in the room? When was a time,
Smells terrific.
when was a time when you felt like you were going against the flow of the energy in the room? Have you had that? Has that ever happened to you? Yes. Sure. Yeah. You're getting a lot of nods.
Yeah,
Okay.
I feel it. My family of origin,
Yeah.
I feel it. And my parents have passed, and my sister, which has changed things. But yeah, I always felt like I was going against the flow in the room politically. What I was willing to joke about, what other people's expense, all that.
Yeah. And that feels lonely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And what helps you get through those times?
Having friends like I met in college, and having spouses and surrounding myself with friends and people who, well, actually, they think more like I do, which I'm not sure that's great. There's less diversity there, but it's certainly more comfortable.
So that's like having an affinity space.
Yeah.
Right? That affinity spaces are helpful because sometimes it's nice to not have to explain yourself or be in a space. I didn't know, so as a biracial person growing up, I didn't know how helpful it would be to be with other people who are biracial until I was in a space like that. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is so helpful because we were talking about how we get perceived, that we don't fit in boxes, what people say to us, blah, blah, blah. But like, I didn't have to explain it because they had all been in the same car accident, so to speak, right? Like we're all kind of living it together. And so sometimes it is nice to fill your cup with affinity spaces. That's really important. So if you're gonna be doing leadership work, if you're gonna be doing to make change in the community and help others, you need to make sure that your cup is full, that your own cup is full, right? Because if we show up depleted and angry and upset, how hard is it gonna be to work with the person who doesn't know what eggs are, right? Who's never seen a raw egg? If we come into that space, and we are more filled because we've been singing, because we've been around music, which is actually really helpful for the body. And we've been around friends who listen to us and hear us and ask us questions. These are the kinds of things that then can enable us to be that little green arrow going against the big flow, right? to be. So all of us here are interested in this concept of diversity, equity, inclusion. So if you find yourself in a different space that doesn't have that, know that you've been with about 20 people. There are people, right, who are interested, who really care, who make a difference. And this is how you can increase your leadership. Yeah. So if you notice that you have a colleague, friend, neighbor, family member who is having that, right? Where actually you're part of that big wave going one way, and then you see someone in the space who's like, actually, I don't really agree with this. What would you hope for them? What would you hope for them?
That they'd start thinking like me.
Or at least a little bit.
Yeah.
A little, right?
But I'd want to find out what they do think and help them, make a connection. So,
I think it's good to be curious about other people. And it's much easier, like, when you're talking with one person versus an entire room, because then you can actually like get to know another person and like listen and like question your beliefs. Because if you don't question your beliefs, then you can't strengthen them.
I'm afraid to ask people their beliefs.
I know it's hard. Yeah.
You have to be ready to listen when you ask, right?
I know.
Preparation, maybe.
Well, my hope would be that they would feel safe and comfortable being who they are and bringing what they bring to the table, ideally.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure I do that. Sometimes, yeah, that's what ideally, I mean, I'm not sure that I would help them sometimes, depending on I think of circumstances where I don't do that.
I've been with,
You have to be
I've
careful.
been at meetings when there's a really good person in charge. And when that happened, the person would say, Leslie, you haven't said anything, but what are you thinking about that? How's this striking you? And then Leslie has been given a chance to say, I'm just worried if we do that, we're making an assumption about yada, yada, yada. And people go, oh yeah, I think maybe we are.
Right. That's great. Yeah. So noticing when someone hasn't spoken up yet,
Yeah.
checking on that as a facilitator, that's one of the main things that I'm paying attention to, right? If we get into like more than 10 people, I don't necessarily, because it's a little complicated. And so there's like 100 thoughts going through my head right now. Judy, when you were talking about helping people to feel welcome, I believe it or not, I'm actually a very shy person, and I'm a little skittish I don't share a lot of personal things. And in my experience, Judy, you are very easy to talk with, super welcoming. You know, you create an environment and space where it's possible. What I try to do, right? The music, when you came into this space, I'm trying to model for you some thoughts that you can have about like name tag, who are you? That's really to help me too, right? But let's ask you a question. Let's shake things up a little bit. Let's have things look and feel a little bit different from what we're used to. Curiosity, so important. And that is a key. If you're finding yourself in judgment, to get curious. That's like, I'm also a leadership coach, and that's actually the kernel, right? Like, gotta get curious what's going on. Someone's pissing you off or something's not working, like, oh, let's get curious. What's happening here? What's really happening here? All right, you have index cards if you're with me in person. If you're on Zoom, if you have an index card or a piece of paper, write down what is I'll write it in the chat. What is your stretch goal?
Stretch.
Stretch goal for the coming week. Thinking about leadership and DEI. Okay. And there's no right or wrong answers. We're all in very different places. What do we want to try? Something new. What is something that you want to try That's new. So write it down on your piece of paper or index card if you're with me.
So stretch goal in terms of DEI, is that what you were saying?
Yeah,
Oh,
or leadership or both. Here's another way to think about it. What is something new that you really want to try and you're terrified to try it?
oh, okay.
Right?
You can't make that in a DEI though. They're not going.
There. Well, write it down and let's see if we can make it a DEI thing. Okay.
I think I need reinforcements.
Good.
Stress eating.
Yes, I'm stressing.
Erin wrote swim lesson. That's awesome. Sarah, you wrote earlier, sip while you pour in the chat. Can you come off mute and tell us about that, sip while you pour?
Yeah, so that's a motto I actually live by. You can't just pour out constantly. You have to be taking sips for yourself. You have to be replenishing yourself. So it was just feeding off of what you were saying about if you aren't filling your own bucket, you can't fill anybody else's either. So I always liken it to when you're on a plane and they say put the oxygen mask on yourself first and then on whoever you're with.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. It is 6:30. We're going for another half hour. We also have been sitting for a little bit. So let's do a 5-minute break and then we'll come back in 5 minutes. Yeah. Okay. And I'm gonna put some music.
Well, all these things that are going on in parallel. And
Oh my God, I'm sorry. Tripped on your bag.
on my back, I'm sorry.
Oh dear, I'm sorry.
You're not hurt.
No, I'm not hurt. I'm just embarrassed.
That stirred things up.
That could be your stretch goal.
The other day I tripped in the living room and landed on an armchair
Oh,
right here on my rib.
it still hurts.
And it still hurts like 6 weeks later.
Yes. Oh.
I fell the other day.
Oh.
Here, let me just.
Oh, no.
Hands.
Yes.
That's the worst. I'm about to start Tai Chi.
Oh.
It's supposed to be really good.
The one that you
I
ordered?
think
I
so.
made a, is it okay if I try some?
Absolutely, I've been eating everyone else's.
Where did you go?
It's been fun. We've been able to try everybody
No, it's been
else's.
great, yeah.
No.
Oh,
And the cheese, yeah, I love that cheese.
But
I love that we ended up just sort of not knowing what the things were and everybody trying a little bit of.
this is not real. I just
yep.
Leadership.
Really sweet.
I'd just like to be just under, just under the line. So
Yes.
so much
So
of
your
our-
husband
put your
set
head
up on
Dartmouth,
the,
It's shut down.
Cemetery.
Yeah.
Hello.
He was, but
He didn't do a lot.
he's done last year. So he resigned.
oh, sorry.
For all the treatments and such, but and it's been a bumpy year. Yeah, no,
So you were involved in sustainable network. You knew, and many people were afraid that you weren't green enough.
oh gosh, that's
Isn't
right.
that right?
Gosh, I'd forgotten about that conversation. Yeah. Well, I mean, so back like 20 years ago, I was on the Conservation Commission with Barbara's husband, Doug, and whatever, several other people, and we had because I'm not a very outdoorsy person, all these people were like, oh, let's go out in the woods. I'm thinking, well, maybe we should try to reduce our electricity use, which didn't seem like conservation to them, but it did to me. I think we had a green energy subcommittee for a little while, which had
Of the Conservation Commission?
yes, and
I
it
didn't know
included
that.
4 people, 2 of whom were myself and my daughter. That was way back, yeah.
Way back.
Way back in our day. Yeah, yeah.
But where did you go when you went away?
I went overseas. I went to Malawi first I moved to Norwich, but then I went to Malawi and then I was there for 6 years.
So I thought,
Yeah, and then I came back and then I went to one or two of those meetings.
yeah, we kind of met at like the voting booth or something.
Yeah. And you invited me. I remember we had a nice conversation and I showed up and then life went other ways.
Yeah.
And what was it like to live in South Africa?
South Africa was a little wild. Just because if you want to talk about diversity, people in South Africa can put you in a racial bucket incredibly quickly. So much of the culture was about figuring out which buckets. I didn't really. And it was hard. I found it much easier to live in Malawi and Mozambique. And I think probably worse racial oppression, but didn't have that sort of constant violence for one thing.
Were you at
Yeah.
USAID on both projects?
Yeah, I think it could have been worse. Pretoria. I was in Pretoria, but we traveled around. I spent a lot of my time working clinics. That's why that's how you know.
That's right, that's how I know Anna.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I was did we at Dartmouth for a while? Community family medicine or?
Well, I didn't get my degree here. I got my degree in Boston, but I lived here. And so I tried to tap into sources of support here in the Upper Valley.
Yep.
To get me through my program, my affinity groups.
Yeah.
And so I spent mine as psychiatric epidemiology.
Okay.
And so we
Should we ask
bonded
now if
over at
anyone's
West
got-
Central Services, right?
Yeah.
Those weekly meetings.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
Mhm.
the Psychiatric Research Center.
Yeah.
Come join me here in the front of the room. For our Zoomers, if you're on Zoom, we're with you. And if you're on Zoom, if you're able to stand up and stretch a little bit, please go ahead and do that. I'm gonna try something. It's called laughter yoga. You can participate or just watch. So we'll do this U shape because then the camera's there and you can see. So yeah, come on over. And we'll have this U and hopefully people on Zoom can see us. And join in if you'd like. Come off mute if you'd like. First, we're gonna start. Just do one clap with your hands and rub your hands together. And feel the warmth generating between your hands. Yeah, got some warmth going. Okay, well, spread it around. Give yourself some warmth. Nice, awesome. And now we're gonna breathe. I do have a cough drop, so I'll have to see. Maybe I should spit it out because you get a little.
No choking.
Yeah.
Yeah, that could be really bad. You'd have to do the Heimlich, you're closer.
It's on you.
Okay, so notice your body. Just notice how you're feeling. Take note of it because I'll ask you to compare before or after the breathing and laughter. The reason it's called laughter yoga is simply about the breathing. So yoga in the sense of moving air through your lungs. Yeah, and if you imagine that your lungs have 3 sections, so it's really moving the air in there. So we're gonna start with breathing and then we'll move to laughing. Join in if you'd like. You don't have to, okay? So first we're gonna take 2 breaths, just regular breathing, yeah? So inhale, hold, exhale. One more, inhale, hold, exhale. On the next one, on the exhale, we're gonna laugh for no reason. Yeah, laugh for no reason. Ready, inhale, hold, exhale, and laugh.
Silly. We're making this up. Everyone's gonna wanna be with that.
We'll do one more. Inhale, hold, exhale, laugh for no reason.
It kind of turns into real laughter at the end.
That's fake it till you make it.
Wow.
And it has the same medical benefits, whether or not it's real laughter or you're faking it. So the idea is we're not making fun of people. We are laughing for no reason. That's part of the design with laughter yoga. With improv, it's the same. You are lifting up your partner. You are making your partner look good. So with humor, it's not stand up. You're not throwing people under the bus. You are making people look good. And that's why it's so funny, right? So if I was trying to give a speech and I was saying, we're going to go to instead of party, I go, da-da-da. And then my partner would be like, the da-da-da? What's that? Right? And then you say, oh, can we bring cake to the da-da-da? And that's what makes it funny because you are lifting up whatever the person has offered. So it's the idea of an offering. So now that we've had some fun laughing, take note, how do you feel in your body right now? Any different? Any observations of how you're feeling different or not?
Like I'm gonna laugh.
Awesome.
I feel like I have more energy.
You have more energy.
Yeah.
We woke you up a little bit.
Uh-huh.
Everyone's smiling, moving a little.
More relaxed.
Yeah.
Maybe I could go, not run a marathon, but I could go run.
Yeah. Everything's possible. So, I didn't do laughter yoga out from the outside. You didn't know me. We didn't know each other. I saved it for after the break. You notice how I did that? It feels a little risky for us to be staring at each other and being a little silly. So think about when you're incorporating, if you're having an event or you're inviting people, do the riskier, trickier stuff later after you've had a chance to break bread, have dinner, all those good things, yeah? Now, why am I doing laughter yoga now? Because it opens up creativity and we're gonna think about some stuff so we can go back to our seats and get creative. All right, for people on Zoom, how was that for you to watch us laughing? Did you participate? Go ahead and come off mute and tell us what that was like for you. Thumbs up. That's a thumbs up. Catherine,
Yeah, it was fun. I feel more relaxed.
feel more relaxed.
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome, thank you. Any other comments? Okay, let's see, what are we gonna do now? Let's say that we need to be thinking about diversity, equity, inclusion. Why would you want to have a business case for your colleagues to be thinking about diversity, equity, inclusion? So take a moment and think about it on your own. If we were all in person or all over Zoom, I might send you off to breakout groups and have you think about it in a small group. In light of this being hybrid and the size of everything, I'm just going to keep us together. So think about it for a moment and then we'll do a group chat about this idea. Now, remember, there's no right or wrong answers, and we can all have different ideas, including, I don't think there is a business case. That's fine. Here's the headset. Oh, sorry. Here's the headset.
I'm gonna run that upstairs.
Okay. Why might we care? Why does anyone need to care about this idea about diversity, equity, inclusion? What is our business case?
Am I bringing more employees because you're thinking outside the box?
You would bring in more employees? Okay. Would bring in more employees.
We'd be more productive.
More productive.
We'd be better at problem solving. And we might get better at coming up with new ways to do things because we have different perspectives.
Different perspectives. Anyone in the Zoom have thoughts? You could either come up mute or put in the chat your ideas. Catherine?
Expanding opportunities.
Expanding opportunities.
Mhm.
Anyone else?
I just think it's good give and take conversation.
Good
Yes.
give and take conversation.
Reach more constituencies.
You reach more
Constituents or a wider range of constituents. Yeah.
wider range of that reminded me that I was involved in a project and it came up that there was this person who was an incredible tailor. He worked on clothing, super, super talented, and he didn't speak English. And because of that, the employer didn't want to keep him as a tailor. So he ended up working 2 jobs, one at McDonald's, one at Wendy's, not doing his super talented tailoring. Now imagine if that company was like, hey, awesome. Now we're going to pull in all these Spanish speaking customers, right? You're going to bring more people. Maybe we have an interpreter alongside you for people who don't speak Spanish. That's okay. Let's celebrate your talent. Let's celebrate what you're really good at rather than sadly not have you do your thing.
Maybe you avoid offending people, like you don't make jokes about Pearl Harbor to your Japanese.
Get that idea.
Exactly. Sarah wrote, making those utilizing your product, whatever that may be, feel comfortable, as we mentioned earlier, feeling heard and seen. Yeah, so we widen the customer base, we widen the client base, and we widen the employees, right? Like it's widening all kinds of paths, and each one of us is different. right? We come at this with neurodiversity, height and size differences, styling. Like I said, some people like Love Island, some people don't. It's all good, right? It all works. Okay. Um, so some key takeaways for today. So first of all, I personally think that diversity, equity, inclusion, it's never done, right? We're all at different stages. We're all at different places. You can think of it as like peeling away the layers of an onion. And there have been forward of how you get at it, or maybe there's some new challenge. Equality and equity are not the same. If you come out with anything, remember that equality and equity are different. This is something that people get mixed up. When you find the person getting mixed up, you can think about the baseball game situation with the boxes and the fence, the bicycles like we saw, or the street corner like we saw, right? Equality and equity are not the same thing. And there's a business case for diversity and equity. Now, we wrote down our stretch goals for leadership on the cards. Does anybody want to share in terms of I'm stuck, I need support, I don't know how this actually relates to diversity, equity, inclusion, or this is scary to me and I need support, and we know that affinity spaces are helpful. So, does anyone want to share what they wrote for support?
I'll share.
Okay.
I struggled for coming up with something for a while because I'm kind of in between things right now, but I thought actually reaching out to some of my former colleagues who worked for USAID overseas. I've heard a lot more from the Americans. I have not heard as much from colleagues of mine, who worked in other countries who are going to struggle a lot more when their jobs went away. And see if they've been able to make connections, get incredibly talented people. And they've been able to find someplace where they can do something meaningful and feed their families.
Yeah. Wonderful. What that also makes me think about. Hi.
Just a quick heads up, we close it actually in about 10 minutes.
Okay, thank you. To check in with people. Checking in with people is very powerful, right? That's a very powerful human in this day and age that we're in, humanity versus.
Very isolated.
Yes, we're very isolated, exactly.
And what I wrote down was, we have new neighbors and I have to call on them.
Okay.
But I want to bring something, and that means cooking. We have a lemon tree that's 60-some years old.
Oh my goodness.
Admire lemon tree.
Wow.
And I have all these lemons in the refrigerator. So I have to do something.
Ooh, a lemon meringue pie.
Just take the
No.
lemons.
Let's bring a basket of lemons. Yeah, that sounds special.
So that, you have to, it seems like you should come with something.
And there are some cultures where gift giving is really important. And sometimes it doesn't even have to be a lot, right? It can be a suggestion of a thing. Okay. Other stretch goals. Oh, Sarah wrote limoncello, or how do you say that?
Limoncello.
Limoncello. Okay. And somebody, yes, Sue, go.
Excuse me. Hi. I hope this is on target for a stretch goal or terrified to try. I'm not sure.
Yes.
Well, volunteers are needed at the UNH equine therapy, for kids either mentally or physically special needs. And so they're on a horse and you walk them around. What I'm terrified is lack of time. Do I really have time to do this? Not really. But I would look, I've watched this before and it seems like I can do, but can I juggle time? No.
Yeah. And what would be beneficial for you being around horses and people riding them? How could that?
Oh, being around horses
Yeah.
and maybe help tack up. Um,
Mhm.
and then, and kids, um, they're, whatever special needs or not, there's kids are fun.
Yeah.
And I get, yeah, and when they seem to really put out a need for volunteers, I wanted to say, I'll be right there. But then it was like, I'm not
What
sure
would,
if I could do.
what would be a way to set boundaries? How could you set boundaries?
Uh, maybe I could um, say one day, not two.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, maybe something like that.
Now, boundaries are a huge thing. This comes up as well with leadership. Okay, when you get really good at things, people start to ask you for help. And like we were talking about earlier, you got to make sure that your cup is full for yourself so that you're not. So, what are ways that you maintain boundaries or that you wish you maintained boundaries?
This kind of relates to my stretch goals. I had the opposite problem actually of you. I just, I had to do a lot at my school, and like some of them were like, I'm the junior class president, and like gathering the junior class and like breaking people outside of like their friend groups and like their cliques and like trying to facilitate talking to other people. And then like I'm the women's affinity group president, and like getting more activities with that. It's just like hard because everyone does a lot of things at my school, so it's like hard to get people in one place at a time. And then like doing like a voter registration drive and like getting people to participate in that, and then like leadership in the dorm, like being someone that like people can rely on, and then like being a softball like captain and being like there for the people on my softball team. It's like hard to set boundaries when I'm doing a lot.
Right. So, how are you going to take care of yourself?
I guess just fall back on the things I love, which I love like talking to people. I love playing softball, going for runs, and yeah.
Awesome. So, talking with people and being active. You know, talking with people and being active has other benefits as well, right? Like, and there's definitely health ties, including talking with people apparently helps with memory. Who knew, right? So if you're worried about losing memory, if you're talking to other humans, that can actually help bolster memory. Okay. Sarah wrote, Sue, as a mother to a child who used equine therapy, any time you could offer would be so beneficial to you as you see them grow and them as they grow if you have the time. Amazing. Yeah. Okay. So think about, we've been together, we're ending in 3 minutes. Think about what are your key takeaways from today. And think about what's one hope or goal that you have going forward. So think about for yourself and thank you. Yeah, go ahead. I do have a feedback form as well. If you are able to, I'm going to put a link in the chat. So for people in the room, they're getting a piece of paper and there is a link there for feedback form. So if you can take a moment to do that right now, and then we'll do our last activity together in our last minute together. And our right up here. We don't have to talk. Sorry. For those of you in the room, when you're done filling out the form, you can go ahead and put it in this envelope. Thank you. Pass it around. And then we'll do one more thing in our last minute together. There you go.
Your turn.
Thank you. All right, put your form in the yellow, clear yellow envelope. Also, there's a new thing called the Upper Valley Equity Table, which everyone's welcome. I can send more information. It's a pilot program that we just started about a month ago. And if you're interested, my email is adachi-labs@gmail.com. If you're in the space, I gave you a sticker and that goes to my website and you can reach me that way. So our goals for today: develop awareness of new stretch goals, thinking about your leadership approaches. We'll try some new things. How do we foster inclusion and belonging? Why is DEI important? And how do we create advocacy spaces that are inclusive, equitable, and effective? And we are needing to close now, it being 7 on the nose. Wonderful to see you all. Thanks so much for being here. Have a great day.
Thank you, Anna.
Thank you.